Commander Vextari stood at the viewport of his ship, the Apex Seeker, admiring his reflection in the reinforced plasma glass. 6 iridescent eyes blinked in sequence as he adjusted his ceremonial hunting garments, each piece adorned with trophies from countless successful hunts across the galaxy. The infamous hunter's massive frame, covered in shifting chrome plates that served as both armor and camouflage, cut an imposing figure against the backdrop of Earth's blue sphere. Another world, another conquest, he muttered to himself, mandibles clicking with anticipation. His ship's database had classified Earth as a death world, a planet teeming with predatory species. Perfect. The Galactic Research Station Epsilon hung in low Earth orbit like a crystalline snowflake, its transparent observation domes glinting in the sunlight. As Vextari's ship approached the docking bay, he could already imagine adding Earth's finest predators to his collection. Dr. Naira Tal, the station's chief xenobiologist, waited in the reception chamber. Her slender form, covered in iridescent scales that shifted from deep purple to midnight blue, betrayed her anxiety through rapid color changes. She had dealt with many alien visitors, but none quite like the legendary Commander Vextari. "Welcome to Station Epsilon, Commander," she greeted, her translator converting her melodic tones into standard galactic speech. "We're honored to host such a distinguished hunter." Vextari's response was to activate a holographic display from his gauntlet, projecting images of his greatest kills. "Distinguished is an understatement, Doctor. I've hunted the phantom beasts of the Nexus Void, wrestled with the crystal titans of Sigma Prime, and single-handedly subdued a chronivore in the temporal wastes. Earth's predators will make fine additions to my collection." Dr. Tal's scales flickered with barely concealed amusement. "Perhaps we should begin with a review of Earth's apex predators, Commander. Our research has revealed some fascinating specimens." The briefing room's holographic display came to life, showing footage of Earth's most fearsome creatures. Lions taking down prey in coordinated hunts. Bears fishing in rushing rivers. Wolves moving through snowy landscapes in precise formations. "Primitive," Vextari scoffed, his chrome plates rippling with disdain. "Where are the energy projections? The phase-shifting abilities? The temporal manipulation?" "Earth's predators have evolved different kinds of advantages," Dr. Tal explained, bringing up detailed biological scans. "Their strength lies in their adaptability, their social structures, their problem-solving abilities. Problems are for prey to solve," Vextari interrupted. "I am a hunter. The galaxy's finest hunter. These creatures will learn their place in the natural order." Dr. Tal's research assistant, Zrix, a floating orb-like being with dozens of sensory tendrils, bobbed nervously in the corner. "Sir, our protocols require extensive study before any direct interaction with Earth's dash." "I've studied enough," Vextari declared, rising to his full height. "Prepare the hunting permits. I'll begin with your largest predator, this polar bear. Then work my way down to the smaller ones." As the commander strode out, Dr. Tal and Zrix exchanged worried looks. "Should we warn him about the smaller ones?" Zrix whispered, tendrils twisting anxiously. "No," Dr. Tal replied, her scales shifting to a shade of amused violet. "Some lessons must be learned firsthand. Besides, he wouldn't believe us anyway." In his private quarters, Vextari began preparing his hunting arsenal. Plasma nets, sonic disruptors, neural suppressors, all the latest hunting technology the galaxy had to offer. As he worked, he accessed the station's database, scrolling through Earth's predator classification system. Bears, lions, tigers, wolves. He muttered, mandibles clicking in anticipation. "Soon, you'll all be trophies in my collection. And then perhaps I'll hunt some of your smaller predators for sport. These house cats and ferrets the database mentions. Hardly worth my time, but completeness demands thoroughness." Little did the galaxy's greatest hunter know that his greatest challenge wouldn't come from the mighty polar bears or fierce tigers. It would come from a creature so seemingly insignificant that he wouldn't even register it as a threat until it was far too late. But that was a lesson still to come, one that would shake the foundations of his carefully constructed reputation and change the galaxy's understanding of Earth's creatures forever. As the station's artificial night cycle began, Dr. Tall made a final entry in her research log, Day 1 of Commander Vextari's hunting expedition. Preliminary observation, subject displays classic signs of apex predator overconfidence syndrome. Prognosis, imminent reality check approaching. Personal note, must remember to activate all observation drones. This is going to be entertaining. The polar wind howled across the Arctic tundra as Vextari's hunting pod descended through Earth's atmosphere. His chrome-plated armor automatically adjusted to the sub-zero temperatures, though he noted with disdain that such adaptation was necessary at all. These conditions are barely worth noting, he broadcasted back to Station Epsilon. I've hunted in the methane storms of Jupiter's moons. This is practically a vacation. Dr. Tall's voice crackled through the comm system, her tone carefully neutral. Just remember the protocols, Commander. Non-lethal captures only. Earth's ecosystem is delicately balanced. Yes, Vextari dismissed, activating his thermal scanners. I've read your tedious regulations. Now, where is this mighty polar bear? He didn't have to wait long. His sensors picked up a massive heat signature moving across the ice. The bear was enormous, even by polar bear standards, its white fur almost glowing in the Arctic twilight. Vextari's mandibles clicked in appreciation. Finally, a worthy opponent. The hunt began spectacularly. The polar bear, upon sensing an unfamiliar presence, charged with surprising speed. Vextari met its challenge head-on, his chrome plates shifting to match the snowy environment. The bear's massive paws, capable of crushing seals with a single blow, swept through the air where the hunter had been moments before. Impressive strength, Vextari commented, dodging another swipe. But predictable. He deployed a sonic pulse, carefully calibrated to disorient without harm. The bear staggered, shook its massive head, and remarkably, kept coming. Back at Station Epsilon, the observation room was packed. Scientists from every department crowded around the monitors, watching the battle unfold. Dr. Tall noticed her assistant Zrixa's tendrils were tied in actual knots from anxiety. Remarkable resilience, Vextari admitted, finally subduing the bear with a combination of sonic pulses and neural suppressors. But still, hardly a challenge for one of my caliber. Over the next several Earth days, Vextari methodically worked his way through his list of Earth's apex predators. A Siberian tiger fell to his tactics in the frozen forests of Russia. An African lion pride in the Serengeti provided what he called an amusing morning exercise. Even a pack of wolves in Yellowstone barely slowed him down. After each successful hunt, his broadcasts back to the station grew more boastful. Your Earth predators rely too heavily on physical attributes, he lectured during one transmission. No energy weapons, no psychic defenses, not even basic phase-shifting abilities. How have they survived this long? Dr. Tall noticed a pattern emerging. With each victory, Vextari's careful preparation decreased. His thorough pre-hunt analyses became cursory glances. His defensive postures grew increasingly casual. Pride was replacing precision. He's getting sloppy, she noted in her research log. And he's starting to skip crucial data points in his prey analysis. Particularly concerning smaller species. The breaking point came after Vextari successfully tracked and subdued a jaguar in the Amazon rainforest. Dripping with rain but utterly unhurt, he made an announcement that caused several of the station's scientists to exchange knowing looks. These large predators have proven disappointing, he declared. Perhaps it's time to complete my collection with some of your smaller hunters. These house pets I keep hearing about. After all, how dangerous could they be? In the observation room, Dr. Tall's scales shifted to a deep blue of amusement. Should we tell him about the incident with the research team's pet last month? Zrix asked, tendrils waving anxiously. Absolutely not, Dr. Tall replied, mandibles twitching in what passed for a smile among her species. Some lessons are best learned through experience. Besides, he did say he wanted to study all of Earth's predators. As Vextari's pod headed back to the station for resupply, he began reviewing files on domestic Earth predators with casual disinterest. His 6 eyes barely skimmed the data, missing crucial behavioral notes and warning signs. In his mind, he was already composing the grand speech he would give at the next Galactic Hunters Summit about conquering Earth's primitive predators. Meanwhile, in the station's residential section, something small and furry was awakening from its nap, stretching lazily and sensing that its ordinary routine was about to become very interesting indeed. Dr. Tall made one final entry before the next phase of Vextari's hunting expedition. Warning signs of catastrophic overconfidence have reached critical levels. Subject appears to have learned nothing from previous encounters about Earth species unpredictability. Stage is set for what humans would call a reality check. Activating all available observation drones. This promises to be the most enlightening part of our research yet. The residential wing of Station Epsilon was typically off-limits to visitors, but Vextari had insisted on a complete survey of Earth predators in all contexts. He strode through the corridors, his chrome plates gleaming under the artificial lighting, barely glancing at the data pad in his lower right hand. A complete waste of time, he muttered, mandibles clicking in irritation. Documenting creatures humans keep for, what was that word? Companionship? Ridiculous. Dr. Tall floated beside him, her scales rippling with barely contained anticipation. These creatures have been living alongside humans for thousands of years, Commander. They've evolved alongside them, adapted to their environments. Adapted? Vextari scoffed. You mean gone soft? No true predator allows itself to become domesticated. They approached the station's common room, where off-duty scientists often gathered to relax. Dr. Tall's assistant Zrix was waiting, all tendrils vibrating with nervous energy. Everything is prepared, the orb-like being announced, somehow managing to sound both worried and amused. I still don't understand why we're starting here, Vextari complained, adjusting his hunting sensors to the indoor setting. Surely there are more impressive specimens in your Earth zoos. Oh, trust me, Dr. Tall replied, her scales shifting to a deep violet of amusement, this will be most educational. The common room doors slid open with a soft hiss. It was a large space, filled with comfortable seating areas, entertainment units, and various accommodations for the station's diverse alien staff. Vextari's sensors immediately began scanning, but he was clearly disappointed by the readings. I'm detecting only one small life form, he announced, mandibles twitching in disdain. Barely bigger than a Zentarian moon rat. Where are these feared domestic predators I'm supposed to study? Dr. Tall gestured toward a sunny spot near one of the viewport windows. Right there, Commander. Meet Professor Whiskers. Vextari's 6 eyes focused on a small, orange and white creature curled up in a patch of sunlight. It appeared to be sleeping, its furry body rising and falling with gentle breaths. A long tail occasionally twitched, and pointed ears swiveled at their approach. This? Vextari's voice rose in indignation. This tiny ball of fur is what you wanted me to examine? I've hunted creatures that use bigger things as parasites. The cat opened one eye, gave the assembled group a thoroughly unimpressed look, and yawned, displaying a set of small but sharp teeth. Professor Whiskers belongs to our human cultural liaison, Dr. Tall explained. She's been with us for 3 Earth years and has become quite adapted to station life. Vextari activated his battle scanner, more out of habit than any perceived threat. Weight, 4.5 Earth kilograms. No energy weapons. No natural armor. No significant technological augmentations. This is beneath my dignity as a hunter. He took a step closer to the cat, his chrome plates shifting to create an intimidating display. "I am Vextari, conqueror of the galaxy's deadliest creatures. I have subdued beasts that could swallow this entire station. I will not waste my time with Dash." Professor Whiskers chose that moment to stand up, stretch languidly, and fix all 6 of Vextari's eyes with a look that countless species across the galaxy would have recognized as trouble. "Commander," Dr. Tull said softly, her scales shifting to a warning red, "I should mention that it's almost feeding time, and Professor Whiskers can get a bit enthusiastic when Dash." The cat moved. Later, when reviewing the station's security footage, even the AI had trouble tracking exactly what happened next. There was a furry orange blur, a series of startled shrieks in at least 3 different alien languages, and the distinctive sound of chrome plates being treated like a particularly entertaining scratching post. "Get it off! Get it off!" Vextari's voice had risen several octaves as he spun in circles, all 4 arms flailing as Professor Whiskers treated his supposedly impenetrable armor like a personal playground. "Use the neural suppressors." "Oh dear," Dr. Tull observed calmly, making notes on her pad. "I should have mentioned that Earth cats have evolved a remarkable resistance to most forms of neural manipulation. Something about their unique brain structure." The mighty hunter's defensive systems attempted to adapt, his chrome plates shifting rapidly, but this only seemed to intrigue Professor Whiskers more. The cat's claws found gaps no one had known existed in the armor, and its purring reached levels that somehow interfered with Vextari's sonic weapons. "Fascinating!" Dr. Tull shouted over the chaos. "The purring appears to be creating a counter-frequency that neutralizes your sonic defenses. Zrix, are you recording this?" "All 73 observation drones are active," Zrix confirmed, tendrils waving in excitement. "This will revolutionize our understanding of Earth feline combat capabilities." As alarms began blaring throughout the station, Professor Whiskers decided that Vextari's ceremonial hunting cape made an excellent impromptu hammock. The galaxy's greatest hunter, now missing several trophy pieces and with his chrome plates in complete disarray, huddled in a corner, all 6 eyes wide with terror. "I think," Dr. Tull noted in her log, trying to keep her voice steady, "we may need to update our classification of Earth's domestic predators. And possibly requisition some more chrome plating for our guest." Professor Whiskers, having thoroughly demolished Vextari's dignity, calmly walked over to its food bowl, sat down, and meowed expectantly. The day wasn't over yet, and somehow, everyone knew this was just the beginning of Vextari's education in the true nature of Earth's predators. News travels fast in space, but embarrassing news travels faster than light. Within hours of what station staff had begun calling the Whiskers incident, every research station in the sector had received footage of the galaxy's most renowned hunter being thoroughly defeated by a house cat. Vextari sat in the station's medical bay, surrounded by scattered pieces of his once pristine chrome armor. A medical drone hovered nearby, applying healing gel to the surprisingly numerous scratches that had somehow penetrated his supposedly impenetrable defense systems. "Impossible," he muttered for the 47th time. "Simply impossible." His remaining functional scanning equipment was still trying to analyze exactly how Professor Whiskers had bypassed his defenses. Dr. Tull entered the medical bay, her scales shifting through various shades of professional concern, though a hint of amusement kept sneaking through in flashes of violet. "How are you feeling, Commander?" "How am I feeling?" Vextari's mandibles clicked rapidly in agitation. "I have hunted the phase dragons of Arcturus. I have trapped quantum predators in the void between dimensions. And I was just thoroughly outmaneuvered by a small Earth feline." Dr. Tull suggested helpfully. "Actually, we've made some fascinating observations about the encounter. Would you like to see the analysis?" Before Vextari could refuse, she activated a holographic display. Multiple angles of his defeat played out in high-definition clarity. Zrix floated in, tendrils excitedly pointing at various details. "Notice how Professor Whiskers targeted structural weaknesses in your armor that even our scanners hadn't detected," the assistant observed. And here, this is particularly interesting, the way she used your own momentum against you when you tried to deploy the sonic pulse. But it's so small. Vextari protested. My scanners showed no significant threat level. Ah, Dr. Tall's scales flickered knowingly, and therein lies the first lesson about Earth's predators. Size and obvious weaponry are not always accurate indicators of capability. Did you know that Earth house cats still maintain many of their ancient hunting instincts? They've simply refined them. The medical drone beeped in surprise as it discovered another set of scratches beneath a displaced armor plate. Vextari winced. Furthermore, Dr. Tall continued, clearly warming to her subject, domestic cats have evolved alongside humans for thousands of years. They've developed an uncanny ability to identify and exploit weaknesses, while maintaining an appearance of complete innocence. Some of our researchers believe they may actually be more dangerous than their larger wild cousins, in certain contexts. More dangerous? Vextari's voice cracked. Than a lion? Oh yes. You see, lions haven't had to adapt to living in close quarters with technological civilizations. House cats, on the other hand. She pulled up another holographic display showing various cats interacting with technology across the station. They've learned to navigate our most advanced systems as if they were simple toys. Just then, an alert sounded throughout the medical bay. Professor Whiskers had somehow accessed the station's ventilation system again and was currently making her way toward the command center. Don't worry, Zrix assured everyone, tendrils waving dismissively. She just likes to check on station operations occasionally. Last week she found a flaw in our security grid that our best technicians had missed. We're still not sure how she did it. Vextari stared at his ruined armor, then at the ventilation shaft where the cat had disappeared, then back at his armor. Several of his worldviews were undergoing rapid and uncomfortable revisions. He began, then stopped, mandibles working silently for a moment. I may need to update my hunting protocols. Oh. Dr. Tall's scales rippled with interest. Yes. Clearly, my threat assessment algorithms are inadequate for Earth species. Perhaps I should spend some time studying rather than hunting. At that moment, a soft meow echoed through the ventilation system. Vextari jumped so high he dislodged the medical drone. Excellent decision, Dr. Tall noted, fighting to keep her scales from shifting to pure amusement. Though I should mention, Professor Whiskers is actually considered quite gentle by Earth cat standards. Wait until you hear about something called a kitten. The color drained from Vextari's chrome plates. A what? Oh yes. Baby cats. Much more energetic. They hunt everything that moves. And they hunt in groups. For the first time in his distinguished career, the galaxy's greatest hunter fainted dead away. The medical drone beeped in alarm. And somewhere in the ventilation system, a satisfied purr echoed through the station. Dr. Tall made another entry in her research log, subject has begun showing first signs of actual learning. Recommendation, begin preparation for Phase 2, Introduction to Earth's concept of viral cat videos. The galaxy's understanding of true predatory behavior may never be the same. 3 months after the Whiskers incident, Station Epsilon had changed considerably. Most notably, the once feared Commander Vextari could often be found in the common room, sitting perfectly still while Professor Whiskers used his chrome-plated leg as a scratching post. The key, he explained to a group of newly arrived researchers, is understanding that you are not, in fact, the apex predator in the room. His mandibles clicked thoughtfully as he gently offered a treat to the purring cat. A lesson I learned rather dramatically. The footage of his encounter had become legendary throughout the galaxy. The Galactic Hunters Guild had been forced to create an entirely new classification system for Earth's domestic predators, with house cats earning their own special category labeled Approach with Extreme Caution. Dr. Tall's research paper, Small Package, Big Surprise, a study of Earth feline combat tactics, had become the most cited work in xenobiology that year. She was particularly proud of the chapter titled, Why Size Doesn't Matter, the Physics-Defying Abilities of Cats. The most fascinating aspect, she explained during a presentation to the Galactic Science Council, her scales shimmering with academic excitement, is how Earth's domestic cats have evolved to weaponize what we previously considered non-combat behaviors. Their purring, for instance, can disrupt sophisticated sonic weapons. And their apparent ability to occupy multiple spatial positions simultaneously remains unexplained by our current understanding of physics. Vextari had undergone his own evolution. His trophy room aboard the Apex Seeker had been converted into a research laboratory. The walls, once decorated with conquered predators' remnants, now displayed detailed analyses of Earth's domestic species' behavioral patterns. I was arrogant, he admitted during an interview with the Galactic Geographic Society. I thought I understood predatory behavior because I had hunted the largest and most physically impressive creatures in the galaxy. But Earth's house cats. He shuddered, all 6 eyes blinking in sequence. They taught me that true predatory excellence isn't about size or obvious weapons. It's about efficiency, adaptation, and... He glanced nervously at Professor Whiskers, an absolutely unshakable confidence in one's own superiority. The station itself had adapted to its feline residents' influence. The ventilation systems now included what the engineers called Whiskers ways, specially designed passages that allowed the cat to conduct her regular inspections of the station's operations. Several critical system improvements had been implemented based on where Professor Whiskers chose to take her naps, though no one quite understood how she knew where vulnerabilities were. Perhaps the most significant change was in the Galactic database's entry on Earth. The warning notification had been updated to read, Caution, while this planet's large predators are formidable, visitors are strongly advised to exercise extreme caution around smaller domestic species, particularly cats. Previous hunting experience may be irrelevant or actively disadvantageous. Hubris not recommended. One evening, as the station's night cycle began, Dr. Tull found Vextari in the observation dome, watching Earth rotate below them. Professor Whiskers was curled up in his lap, having claimed his new chrome armor as her personal heated bed. I've been thinking, he said, absent-mindedly scratching behind the cat's ears exactly how she preferred. Perhaps we've been approaching the study of predatory behavior all wrong. We've been focused on the obvious, size, strength, natural weapons. But Earth's cats. He gestured to the purring creature in his lap. They've achieved something far more impressive. They've conquered without anyone even realizing they were being conquered. Dr. Tull's scales shifted to a thoughtful blue. And what will you do with this insight, Commander? Vextari looked down at Professor Whiskers, who opened one eye and gave him what he had learned was called a slow blink, a sign of feline affection that still somehow managed to convey total dominance. I'm retiring from hunting, he announced. I'm going to establish the galaxy's first Earth Cat Research Institute. We have so much to learn from them. He paused, mandibles clicking softly. Though perhaps we should start with the less energetic ones. I'm still not ready to face, kittens. Professor Whiskers purred louder, a sound that seemed to say she had known this would be the outcome all along. And somewhere in the vast expanse of space, the definition of what made a truly superior predator shifted just a little bit more toward the small, the clever, and the absolutely convinced of their own magnificence. Dr. Tull made her final entry in the research log. Conclusion: Earth's domestic cats have successfully conquered yet another alien species through their time-tested strategy of being simultaneously terrifying and adorable. Project status: ongoing. Personal note: must requisition more chrome plating for scratching posts. Professor Whiskers insists.